So you like stouts? Brilliant. Wish you could drink more of them. This is the stout for you.
Yeah, we're not putting you in, we're not putting you in sales.
I'm wasted in sales. I'm in brewing for a reason.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. So most of our beers, we try to have a story behind each one of the names and kind of the branding behind it. So Iron Wharf is like our local wharf is actually called Iron Wharf. So we're trying to have homage to our area.
Obviously, Stout's having a bit of a moment, at the moment. And we kind of wanted to bring all that knowledge in and kind of create a recipe that kind of was like a more modern take on our kind of more traditional stout recipes that we've been kind of brewing over the years. And so it's compared to a really traditional stout recipe. It's got the colour, it's got the kind of rich colour. It's got the kind of roasted flavours, but it's got a bit less astringency than you'd get in a traditional stout.
From a technical perspective, this is quite different to a lot of beers that we brew. So certainly, I think between the three of us and the rest of the quality brewing team as well, there was a few hurdles to try and jump past. So a lot of back and forth playing around with salt ratios to try and achieve that more mellow, softer taste. Certainly with regards to filtration and packaging, messing around with gas ratios, nitrogen to get really core technical and all that kind of stuff. And I think with a bit of trial and error, we've managed to achieve pretty well.
Process-wise, creating this, we wanted to really get a thick nitrogen head, and we wanted to have those tiny bubbles. When it pours, it cascades as it creates this really beautiful creamy head. And to achieve that, we had to really push the limits of our packaging line and put as much nitrogen as we're capable of to really bring that forward and create that smooth stout. The way that it settles was very difficult for us to achieve, so we have pushed to the limit, and we have gotten what we wanted, but that was a couple trials of packaging.
Yeah, we haven't broken anything yet.
No.
The first thing we do when we're brewing Iron Wharf is we mill all the grains. So, most of the grain is our standard pale ale malt, and then we've got a substantial amount of this stuff, which is roasted barley. And we also have some brown malt, which is quite similar to roasted barley, but it's a little bit less of intensive colour, but it's got a kind of sweeter, more, caramel kind of flavour. Whereas the roasted barley, they're toasted grains. It kind of has an intense toasty flavour. So you've got the intense toasty, you've got the sweeter caramel, and then you've got your kind of standard base malt. That goes into the brew house, and then we mash in.
Yeah, definitely. And the challenges we faced with this was trying to find the correct ratio between those two malts, both with regards to that kind of astringency you mentioned. Roasted barley, really, you don't need much of it to impart that dryness, which we don't want in this beer. But also from a colour perspective, there's a lot of play around with varying colours to try and achieve.
A lot of desktop trials.
A lot of desktop trials in the lab. And so we've ended up, I think, with kind of quite a dark, but when you hold it up to the light, just an ever so slight reddish tint.
Yeah, it has a tint, you can see it at the bottom.
Probably not going to come through on the camera. And that all comes from the various trials we were doing with the malts. Similar to how I mentioned as well, we were messing around in small batch with salt ratios, again to try and take off the edge and really mellow that flavour out, which I think we've managed to do.
So in the brewing process in general, so there's 4 main ingredients: water, yeast, barley, and hops. So this beer, you're not going to taste as many hops as, let's say you look at our first drop. But there is still some in there, mainly in the hot side of the brew house, which gives you some bitterness. The difference is we used roasted barley, so it's not malted, it's there for that flavor and aroma and color. But so this beer, you've got your malt and your water, they get mixed together, you create your sugar that your yeast is then going to eat. The hops are just there for another kind of flavor component, but they also have antimicrobial properties, sorry. Words are very difficult. So there is a little bit in there, but this isn't supposed to showcase hops. This is supposed to showcase the malt. I'd say the biggest challenge creating this product was we started in a small batch brewery, and you don't have nitrogen capabilities.
No. No. For the first batch that we were trying to get the colour right and everything else, and but we also wanted to kind of present it as a sample to the broader team. So we were like, okay, well, it can't be that hard to nitrogenate like 1 keg's worth of beer. it's quite hard actually.
I think we used a whole gas bottle trying to do it.
Yes, and it took about 3 weeks to top pressure it. And this is never something we've tried before, and I'm not going to do it again, frankly. But you know, it did work.
It was a really good first trial.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it showed us what we needed to improve on and what we did really well at.
Yeah, it was the first go, and we kind of took that recipe and then moved up into the main brew house and kind of tweaked it from there. Did a few trial brews, and then got it where we wanted it, and then we were able to present that to the business and say, this is this is what we think we need to move forward with, and we got gathered some more opinions, and off we went.
Yeah, I'd say the bulk of the challenges as well were mainly downstream. The brewing process, thanks to the work done in the small batch, I'd say, was actually quite smooth.
Yeah.
I appreciated picking this one up from the small batch.
Yeah,
It was a hell of a lot easier
That transition was a lot easier than some of the other
compared
brews.
to first drop or something like that. Whereas certainly from a filtration and caking perspective, we had to go through several trials of varying nitrogenation levels, sort of assessment of our kit to see if it was actually feasible to hit the nitrogen levels we were aiming for in this.
Well, and also outside of the brewing process, looking at like the dispense and making sure we were all of our pubs knew how to dispense it, because otherwise you're not going to get that beautiful show, which is the most important part, I think. I want to watch it as it pours.
Yeah, definitely. I think this particular product has involved so far the most cross-departmental communication, certainly getting involved with the pub teams directly.
This is quite a special beer for us because we have done sort of smooth nitrogenated styles of beers over the years, and we have done some stouts with kind of lower levels of kind of nitrogen. But this one, you know, we've talked about it before. We really pushed the plant as far as it would go to really sort of emphasise the kind of creaminess and the smoothness, and you know, having the kind of like a rich head on the beer, and you know, getting the right kind of appearance that we think is going to be appealing.
Well, and this one though, I think all the stouts we've done in the past are quite intense, so unless you're used to drinking stouts, it's going to be like, whoa, that's like, it's not as approachable, where we wanted to make something that's really approachable for any beer drinker to say, I'll try a pint of that stout, and then I'm going to want to come back and have it again.
Yeah, definitely. I would say if you don't drink stouts,
this
give it a go anyway.
This is the good like introduction to stouts.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The beer itself, like I feel like I'm at like a concert in the 90s, like punk rock.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you're too young.
I'm too young for that, I'm afraid. Always sampling it to get an idea. What does it scream to you, Rupert?
I mean, honestly,
keep going. I've got more.
I mean, honestly, it's just making me think bloke in a flat cap, but I don't know if that's what we're really going.
Does that fit with the brand image, Rose?
It's for everyone, so yes.
I know what. It's not an individual. This is a crowded pub. Sports on the TV. Everyone's having a great time. That's what it reminds me of. That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You nailed that.
I think so.
I'm going to jump on that bandwagon, what he said.
Good job, guys.
Good
You
job.
really
Cheers.
nailed this one.
Yeah.